Did you know goldenrod makes an excellent tea?
Happy birthday to me. Happy birthday, dear Aaron.
Me. You are a sad, strange little man, and you have my pity.
Or what's inside. You suck. Finally, we're going to reveal the... Hey everybody, welcome back to Tomic's veteran of the comic book industry for 30 years. I'm a writer, I'm an artist, and this sucks.
She cooks nothing but chuck wagons, stew, and her name is Minerva. Ouch! She's the flower of the Coach.
Don't start! We haven't left yet!
Do you understand the incredible pressure to put on a show of this magnitude? Anyway, welcome everybody. It is once again time for Aaron Live. It is Sunday, May 18th, 2025. We're not getting any younger, folks. And yet here I am. This beard's getting a little raggedy. I need Katie to clean up my beard, but she's on the other side of the country, so I'm going to have to do it myself, and we'll all hope for the best. What a tremendously huge, gigantic show I have for you today. Actually, thinking about it, it's about the same size as all the shows I do, but I like to think before we get going that I got really something special. And maybe today, it'll be it. I got a long list of stuff right here to do, so we'll get into it and just kind of see what happens. But first, let's take a look and see who else is here. Past Master Dan is in the house. Stealth X5, sequential artist. Says, greetings, Aaron in chat. The top reason to catch today's show is definitely for the birds. Get it? He just keeps trying though. And I appreciate the effort. So we got sequential artist and then sequential treasures. That's James, of course. Gil Kane covers. Oh, Aaron's going to be gushing tonight. I am. And I'll tell you, I could have just as easily said, okay, let's do the top 10 Gil Kane covers, Captain America covers, and the top 10 Gil Kane Avengers covers, and the top 10 Gil Kane Captain Marvel covers, and the top 10 Conan covers. I mean, he is or was so prolific. Iron Man, Thor. I mean, just it was like he did every cover for like 10 years at Marvel. It's amazing. And most of them are really, really good. So we're not going to look at all those because it could, take forever. Maybe I should do like 3 weeks of Gil Kane covers. I just might. It's my show. I can do what I want. So I might just do that. Creative Faye is here. So he said, did y'all know that it was Dave Sims' 69th birthday? Wow. The creator of Cerebus the Aardvark. Boy, 69. I don't even want to think about that. Mark Pengren is here. Birds is slang for broads. Hashtag the more you know. And we're going to get into that, actually. He is not wrong. Randy Howell, all the way from Canada, is joining us. Daniel Russell, I wish Shelley would make a cameo to get ratings up. Aaron is struggling by himself. I normally would cannonball you for that, but I think there's some truth to that. What the? There you go. Let's get the show off to a good start. Pantheon, one of my favorite works done by Gil Kane is DC Comics Presents Annual Number 3, Superman and Shazam. Great action between a pretty good story too. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. When you start getting into Gil Kane covers, as I just mentioned, it's like there's so many good ones. It's like you can't show them all. I mean, you could say I'm going to show every Gil Kane cover until I put you to sleep, but I think I've got like 15 of my favorites, and that doesn't even. There's still even more that I couldn't get in there that I would consider, some of my favorite covers. But anyway, we will see what we will see when we get to that point. Creative Face says you can't go wrong when you go Aaron Lopresti, top-notch art and storytelling. Thank you, Creative Face. Check is in the mail. Let's see who else is here. Marcus Killer Group, purveyor of all things pop culture knowledge. Repairman Jack is here. Heat Miser. Eric N. Boyd and Stealth X5 for $2 says hello. Thank you for the salutations. Appreciate it very much. And the $2. Ink on Paper is joining us. I love that. Ink on Paper. We need more of that and less of this digital crap. Just saying. Fox Mulder is joining us. Hey, Fox, glad you're here. Leg Kick is here because, of course, Leg Kick is almost always here. Michelle Bowers, woman with a sword. Be very careful around her. Let's see. I've got news for you of my compadres up in Washington. We'll get to that in a minute, too. Lord Hinson, Comic Skaters, joining us. Let's see. Who else is here? Hidden Hand Media. I have that space comic strip book that Gil Kane did. Yeah, that was called, what was that called? Starhawks? No, what was it called? Starbucks? Something, I don't remember. Some of you guys know. Eric Boyd is discussing how much he loved Michael Whelan's art. Okay, we'll be looking at that too today. It's a full show full of really cool stuff. Glitches here. Pity Ma, Apex Comics. There's Kellraiser. He says, hey, Aaron, thanks for the info on the Frazetta Terror book. I got mine in the mail yesterday. It's a very nice book. It really is. And it was my first official sponsorship. So that was pretty cool. There it is. Starhawks says Apex Comics. I knew it was Star something. Marcus Killigoo's on it. Passmaster Dan. They all got it. All right. Hidden Hand Media says, I don't remember the name. Just look up. Just look up. And you'll see that it's Starhawks. Okay. So here we are doing what we do. And let's get this show on the road with something we haven't done in a couple weeks. And now that I'm back working out and exercising regularly, you would think that would put a stop to this, but well, that's not going to.
Let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go to the lobby to get ourselves a treat.
Strawberry baton wafer cookies from Trader Joe's. So it says delicate rolled wafers filled with strawberry flavored cream, i.e. sugar. These are darn good. Normally I'd get the my candy cigarette. Normally I'd get the chocolate, but my daughter was with me and she prefers anything but chocolate. So we got the strawberry, and I'm telling you, pretty darn good. Well, as I break the cardinal rule of broadcasting, which is never eat while you're on the air, let's take a look at, oh crap, you know what I forgot to do? I forgot to upload all my videos. So I'm now going to do that while I'm eating on camera and talking with my mouth full. And we'll just kind of, you know, go from there. How many calories do you think these have? It says 130. That doesn't seem like a lot, right? Of course, if you eat like 10 of them, it is a lot. But here we go. Let's take a look at our frittata for the day, shall we? Lost on Venus. Edgar Rice Burroughs, man, he took you all over the universe. Mars, Venus, Carson of Venus, of course, was the series. Now, we've already done Carson of Venus. What I should have done, I should have been more organized when putting together my frittata, you know, like categories, instead of just like going random frittata images every week, you know, because we did all of the John Carter of Mars stuff. And now I'm like, well, and we did the Pellucidar stuff, as you recall, before that, which is the middle of Earth, not Middle Earth like Lord of the Rings, but the dinosaur world at the center of the Earth. And then I thought, well, let's do Carson of Venus. But then I realized we did Carson of Venus, the one with the big lizard coming out of the water. And so I thought, well, could I show it again? I mean, I suppose I could, you know, to be a completist, but I should have been more organized from the beginning. And that way I wouldn't be scratching my head every week going, have we shown that yet? Have we shown that? Because this is week 72 of the frittata for the day. And of course, when we get to 100, it's going to be over. And then I'm going to do a big frittata special, which I'm going to invite Dan Lawless on because he loves to talk frittata. And we'll just talk frittata the whole show. But anyway, this was the 1963 Ace paperback book cover. And if you look at that closely, it looks like it's either watercolor or really thin oil paint, where he was using it as a wash rather than, you know, his later work where he really got bold with the oil paint. So I'm not 100% certain. I probably should know that, but I'm sure some of you guys do, and will inform me so I don't have to do the legwork. The theoretical legwork. I'm just, you know, sitting in front of my computer. That's hardly legwork, but you know what I mean. But anyway, so that Ace paperback, that was when Frazetta was first getting into doing the paperback covers. And then it just by like, I don't know, 1966, when he started doing the Conan stuff, it just exploded and he became the Frazetta that we all now know and love and respect and are in awe of. So Randy Hall says 69 likes. Aaron's embarrassed. Well, it's not, it didn't stay there. We got to get past that number. It's a little uncomfortable number, I guess. Leg kick for $10. Thank you, leg kick. Hopefully the news for us is good news, minus Kevin Eastman. So far, the Comic Pros announced isn't what I'm excited about. He is talking. It's like, what is he talking about? Yes. I'm going to SummerCon in Puyallup, Washington. I will be there. Me and my good buddy Mark Brooks will be hanging out together. And no, I'm there to, when my daughter found out the almost entire Cobra Kai cast was going to be there, she's like, oh my gosh, we've got to go. And I'm like, all right, I'll contact them again. Because I had contacted them once and didn't hear anything back. And so I contacted them again and they said, oh yeah, we'd love to have you. The one guy I want to see is Don Bluth, animator, director, who gave us The Secret of Nim, Fievel Goes West, and then the earlier Fievel one where he immigrates for the first time to the United States legally. And but I prefer Fievel Goes West than American Tail. That's what it is. I mean, I like American Tail, but I prefer Fievel Goes West. And then my daughter's favorite animated film is Anastasia, which is good too. I mean, Don Bluth did a lot of good stuff. The Land Before Time, I think the very first one was probably good. It's all the sequels they made were just horrific, but I don't think that he really had much to do with that, if memory serves. But he did do the first one, which I think was fine. Cute little dinosaur kids movie. Yeah, there it is. An American Tail, Aaron. Yeah. Travis Perrick for $2. Your thoughts on Alex Schomburg's art? You know, Alex Schomburg lived, I didn't even know this, like 30 miles from me. Less, probably. More like 20. And I never knew it until he passed away. And then it was like too late, obviously, to go there and, you know, like bug him. Because I would have done it. I liked his stuff. I thought he was probably the, you know, well, I'm not going to say the top, but he was one of the top cover artists during the golden age, especially the war comics that he did for Marvel. Very well respected in that circle. He has a couple of my favorite covers. All Select number 1 is probably my favorite golden age cover. You know, there's Mac Rayboy. We've looked at all these guys. We looked at Schomburg actually on this channel. You go back through Aaron Lives and episodes, the Aaron Live episodes, and you'll find the one that we covered Schomburg probably not that long ago, probably just a couple months ago. And but his covers were very trademark busy, but every once in a while he'd do one that would just really jumped out. And they were all good. Don't get me wrong. They're all really good, but they're all very sort of similar looking, just really busy war covers with, you know, the Human Torch and Submariner and Cap or whoever fighting the Nazis or the Japanese. And then every once in a while he had a cover you're like that had just like one big central image or a more big, the kind of stuff that I gravitate towards. And those were the ones I really, really liked. But yeah, I do love his golden age stuff. I'm not 100%. Well, I'm not completely familiar with his interior work. Mostly just his cover work. So there you go. Leg kick for another 2 says Walter Koenig and Shatner will be there too, Aaron. Well, Shatner, after what he did to my good buddy Ron Garney, I've lost some respect for the old dudes. But I've already got his autograph, and so, and my daughter, I think I might have to get Koenig's autograph for my daughter. My daughter talked to him at great length at the Portland show one time, but she didn't get an autograph. She didn't have any money. She used her money to get Uhura's autograph, who's no longer with us, unfortunately. But So yeah, we may stop by and say hey to Walter Koenig, but it depends on how busy I am and how much I can get away from my table. Because when I get away from my table, I'm there to buy old comics, folks, not to get autographs. But I do want to get Don Bluth's autograph and chat with him a bit if I can. Pity Moss says, Aaron, just find your way east to New Jersey Garden State Fest or any con east. You have so many fans here. Thank you, Pity Moss. I appreciate that. Will I ever get in an airplane and fly across the country again? Never say never. I'm going to New Mexico in January for a show. That's kind of east of here, not terribly far east, but you know, I got to warm up to cross country travel again. Eric Boyd says, I printed off a public domain cover of Wonder Comics featuring a hot brunette babe strapped to a rocket and Wonder Man art by Schomburg. It's on my wall. I love that art. Yeah, like I said, he did a lot of good stuff. Now people are trying to pressure me to go east. Go east, young man. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. I just think I'm too grumpy to travel that far, but you never know. You never know. Okay. What were we talking about? Oh, Frazetta. Well, anyway, enough about Frazetta. Let's talk about the birds. Yesterday I went, and at our local theater here, they had they're showing the birds along with Conan the Destroyer, the Schwarzenegger film, which I've seen a lot. I've also seen the birds a lot, but I thought I had seen the birds a lot until I sat down in the theater with my good friend from junior high, who we're still good friends with. He's not in junior high now. He was at the same time I was. He's as old as me. And so we went to watch this and had a little discussion about it. And it got me thinking, I remember clearly all the bird attack stuff and the ending and all that kind of stuff. But there's it's kind of a slow start, kind of like Psycho, you know, where there's a lot of setup before it starts cooking. And the birds is no different, but I find there's a lot of character stuff in there that for some reason just didn't stick with me prior, that I thought was really interesting and really helped flesh out the story. I mean, that's what characterization is supposed to do. And I'm not sure why I didn't remember it, or if maybe every time I watch the birds, it's because it's on TV and it's already started by the time I turn it on to watch it, and I'm just getting the good stuff. But the character stuff in this is really quite good. Sequential Treasures for 5. He says, make sure to bring some What the and Amazing Spider-Man backup pages to SummerCon if you want to make some money off me. I don't even know, James. I don't even know if I've got any of that stuff. I got some What the pages, but nothing too wonderful. But I mean, that's the thing. When you drive to a show, which I'll be doing for the SummerCon, I can bring whatever I want. I'm going to bring a lot of my layouts and stuff because I've just got tons of that stuff sitting in my flat files. And it's like, I'm seriously, I've got 4 flat files, 4 big flat files, and they're full. I got to get rid of some of that stuff. And this is my fake cigarette that I made. Anyway, there you go. That's right. Invaders Annual #1. That was in the 70s. They had Schomburg do that. Oh, that's cool. I remember that. I remember when it came out. Ooh, Schomburg did the cover. You know, I remember buying it and all that kind of stuff. Anyway, so let's get off Schomburg and back onto the birds here. And Hitchcock, my favorite director. So here's the joke of the evening last night. So here you got Rod Taylor. Look at his little ascot. He looks like Freddy from Scooby-Doo. And his mother, played by Jessica Tandy, right? Who is a very attractive older lady. And I said that to my friend as we were sitting there watching this thing. I leaned over to him. I said, you know, Jessica Tandy's not a bad looking old lady. And then I said to him, and she's our age. So if I had been my age now, 61, she's 63 in this movie. If I had been an actor I could have played Jessica Tandy's husband in 1963 and no one would have flinched. And it's so weird because you sit there in the theater going, yeah, look at that old gal. Then you're like, wait a minute. That old gal is the same age as I am. It's like watching Star Trek II and realizing that when Shatner filmed that movie, he was 15 years younger than I am right now. No, I take that back. 12, 10. He was 50, wasn't he? 49 or 50 when they did Star Trek II. So yeah, that's quite sobering. But anyway, there's Jessica Tandy. Of course, married Hume Cronin forever. They both lived to be like 1,000,000 years old too. So good for them. But anyway, here's the deal with the birds. There's several, kind of like The Thing, except The Thing was, I think, a little bit more clear cut. We were all trying to figure out, the idea is who's the thing, who isn't. And we understood everything about the movie. This, however, is more thematically, what is this movie really about? What is it trying to say? There's a lot of avenues that you can go down, right? So in a nutshell, Tippi Hedren, who's our femme fatale or star, she goes to this small off of San Francisco, small coastal town on the West Coast, basically to play a prank on Rod Taylor, who pranked her. She doesn't even know the guy. She just met him at this bird store in San Francisco. And so clearly she's got the hots for him because she traveled a 2-hour road trip from San Francisco to this small town to drop off a couple of lovebirds for his sister, as a present for his sister. And it was all part of this elaborate gag. But clearly she wanted a little more action from Rod Taylor. So she shows up to this town. And when she shows up, shortly after she shows up, the birds start getting crazy and attacking people, right? So the whole thing is this a movie about nature gone wrong? I mean, there's some speculation about that, and I read the things on it and I was like, it doesn't really, I mean, yeah, that's kind of the surface level to this film, is nature getting back at man, but there's got to be more to it than that, right? And so then there was, if you look at the novella written by Daphne du Maurier, anyway, who wrote the gal who wrote Rebecca, which Hitchcock also adapted. It's more of a Cold War commentary, right? The birds are Russia attacking capitalism and all this kind of stuff. And but Hitchcock really took that out of the film. Basically, the only thing he took from the book was the birds attacking people and the small coastal town, isolated coastal town, and everything else was new. So he brought his own sensibilities to the project. And so then it becomes, okay, well, what was Hitchcock trying to say? Right? And that is the question. And I read this this essay, should we call it? And it had different examples of what this film possibly could have meant. And after watching it last night, I came to my own conclusion before I read this essay. Right. So here's Annie, played by Suzanne Pleshette, who I love Suzanne Pleshette. And then there's this is a great shot, that depth of field there. Hitchcock did this a lot, where you've got, someone in close up here, and then you got action in the background, and we're kind of watching the character Annie. That's this gal right here. Suzanne Pleshette is Annie, and then Melanie is Tippi Hedren's character. So a great depth of field, foreground, background shot. And so anyway, they explored the Cold War options, the nature gone crazy, and then there's this sort of female anti-feminist aspect to this film, and that was sort of my conclusion to a certain degree. Watching this movie, I kind of felt like Tippi Hedren comes into this small town, right? She's kind of this snobby, rich elitist. And she comes into town, and then the birds start attacking, right? And then at the end, we'll skip ahead to the end here to make my point. Spoilers. Here we go. I'll give you a little visual aid. And then at the end, after the birds attack all through the night, and Tippi Hedren gets attacked pretty severely by the birds and saved by Rod Taylor and his mother, they get out into the car, they drive away, and the birds just sit there and watch them drive off. And so my conclusion was, well, if they were really after Tippi Hedren, right, why'd they let her go? And so I thought maybe what the birds wanted was to get her out of town. Okay. And so then I kind of came to this sort of rough conclusion that maybe this is a metaphor for this kind of uppity socialite invading this small town purity and the birds wanting her out so she doesn't ruin it. Right. But the problem with that is Tippi Hedren actually is portrayed in this film as very likable. She starts off as being snobbish. You're kind of like, I don't like her that much. But she's so nice to everybody. She's aloof, certainly to begin with, but she's so nice to everybody and then gets nicer as the film goes along. So you're kind of like, well, that doesn't really hold up, you know. So then I read this, and I'm going to read this to you guys. And you can tell me what you think, but I think this is close as we're going to get to an actual meaning to this film. So the anti-feminist psychosis, which fits perfectly, or pardon me, the anti-feminist psychoanalysis, which fits in perfectly with Hitchcock's character. Okay, it says rather than a macro analysis, it could be a tale about the abuse of power by women and matriarchs. Here, accusations turn from the Russians, Cold War stuff we talked about just earlier, to the female characters as the domestic birds. Get it? The opening scene in the pet shop metaphorically foreshadows the unsuitability of the female characters who present themselves as potential lovebirds to Mitch, that's Rod Taylor's character. I want a pair of birds that are not too demonstrative, says Mitch at the very opening of the film. And so then that referring to Melanie, the Tippi Hedren character. And then at the same time, I wouldn't want it too aloof either. And that refers more to like Annie, who is the school teacher played by Suzanne Pleshette, who used to have a relationship with Rod Taylor. Now, Hitchcock's films have the recurring theme of neurotic and controlling matriarchs. Dick remarks, I don't know who Dick is, that Hitchcock's mother is like the Wizard of Oz. Remove the mask and you have a woman grappling with her own demons. Now, Melanie's community fires superstitious accusations at her, right? You remember the woman in the restaurant going, "You're the cause of this. It didn't start till you came here." And then Tippi Hedren slaps her in the face to snap her out of it, right? But basically, Hitchcock makes the point that you're the cause of this, right? So he's got that planted in her head. Now, showing fear of female hysteria and punishment for it. The subtext that women are blamed for the violence is subtly apparent after the first gull attack when Mitch tells the guy that's running the, if you remember, Tippi Hedren got hit by a seagull as she was boating across the lake just before she got to the dock. And of course, Rod Taylor helps her out and she's bleeding from the forehead and they go into the restaurant. And they go, well, what happened to her? And he says, the young girl cut herself. So he doesn't mention that a seagull hit her. And this essayist says that this is a subtext that women are blamed for the violence. So she's responsible basically for the bird attacking her, right? By saying the young girl cut herself instead of saying the bird did it. Now, when Melanie tells her father on the telephone in the diner, she is not and she's not believed. When she tells her she calls her dad, who's the newspaper magnate. Hey, we got attacked by a bunch of birds at the schoolyard, trying to maybe get a story done on it, some coverage. And she says over the phone, no, I'm not hysterical. This suggests that it's not Melanie's, but someone else's hysteria that has caused the disorder. Okay. Now, critic Margaret Horwitz remarks that it is specifically one female character, and we all know where this is going, right? If you've seen the movie, you do. The wild birds function as a kind of malevolent female superego, an indirect revelation of Lydia's character, that is Rod Taylor's mother. All right? She is a possessive mother intent upon furthering a symbiotic Oedipal relationship with her son. And if you remember, there's this great scene that I showed the two shot of Suzanne Plachette and Tippi Hedren there when she was on the phone, and Suzanne Plachette was in the foreground, right? And they're basically, she used to date Rod Taylor's character, and now Tippi Hedren's getting interested in Rod Taylor's character. So they're kind of discussing it a little bit, and then discussing the mother because she's very judgmental and not real nice, and and Tippi Hedren's kind of like, doesn't approve of Tippi Hedren. Excuse me. So when they bring up this sort of Oedipus Rex complex, which is, for those of you who don't know, the Shakespeare play where the mother has relationships with her son, but anyway, so Annie, Suzanne Plachette's character, says, when Tippi Hedren suggests that maybe the mother's this jealous woman, or a clinging, possessive mother, she says, with all due respect to Oedipus, I don't think that was the case. But then what do we see? We see Suzanne Plachette gets killed by the birds, right? Okay, so hang on to that. So, and this essayist says, however, she is sacrificed in the end, suggesting she should have heeded Oedipus after all and stayed away from Mitch. She moved to that town to be near him, saying that, oh, I didn't want to lose his friendship, but she's still clearly in love with him. Now, feminist critic, I don't know if that means she's a critic of feminists or she's a feminist and a movie critic, Camelia Pagila evidences this view. She proposes that the timing of the attacks correlate with female anger. The first attack occurs when Melanie enters Kathy and Lydia's territory. Kathy is Rod Taylor's sister, and Lydia is the mother. The second, when she chooses to sleep overnight at their home. The main attack is at the birthday party, which Melanie attends, suggesting she's not a welcome guest. It is only when Melanie, the source of the troubles, sacrifices herself to the birds that the attacks subside, which is true. When she gets caught in the room near the end, up in the attic at the end of the movie, and gets attacked by the birds and looks like she's going to die, she's saved by Rod Taylor and Lydia, his mother, at the end. Okay, so they say here the end result is the status quo is reinstated. Melanie is accepted, and Lydia can reclaim her mother role. This theory is not perfect, however, as Melanie seems generally welcoming towards Kathy, the sister. That's the problem with all of these theories, is that Melanie Griffiths, that's her daughter, Tippi Hedren character Melanie, is actually pretty nice throughout this whole movie, and a little bit retrospective about how her socialite behavior hasn't been the greatest and she wants to change. So she's a very sympathetic character, I think, in this film. Now, they say the birds do not attack Mitch when he was alone, only when he's protecting the two main female threats, Melanie and Annie, right? Melanie sacrifices herself to the birds in the upstairs bedroom, and as a result releases Mitch. It is only then that she is free from the patriarchal wrath, and Lydia joins Mitch in rescuing her. In the closing scenes, the birds cease to attack an injured and defeated Melanie, as though they knew she is no longer a threat to the family unit. Lydia's acceptance of Melanie is shown when Melanie leans into her and Lydia gives her a motherly and affectionate squeeze at the end. This article was written by Megan Burbridge, by the way. I just want to give her credit. So anyway, what are we talking about here? So the whole idea that they're pushing, and then I kind of like, is that these birds are a metaphor for this angry matriarch played by Jessica Tandy, and the two women that are potentially or possibly threatening her relationship with her son one of them gets killed. The other one is a target of the birds. But then, as they said, as she sacrifices herself in a scene eerily similar, I must say, to the shower scene in Psycho, when she gets attacked by the birds. It's very, very familiar to the Janet Leigh's scene in the shower in Psycho, where she's getting attacked by Anthony Perkins, getting knifed. And so then, of course, because that whole family unit is repaired and Jessica Tandy's character is then accepting of Melanie here. And it's true. They get in the backseat of the car. She looks up at her and she gives her a hug and a smile, and they drive off and the birds stay there. So it's not a foolproof. It's like Hitchcock was using different. I mean, he did make some points about man versus nature. He did make a point about that early in the movie when the birds are caged, and there's remarks in the bird store about the birds being caged, the lovebirds being caged the whole way through. And then Tippi Hedren, if you guys remember, being caught in the phone booth and the birds attacking around her. So now she is the one in the cage. So there is symbolism here for that sort of role reversal and the revenge of the birds or the animals on humanity. But I really do like this sort of anti-feminist angle that they were suggesting in this article, because I think a lot of it fits. So anyway, there you go. Randy Howell says, so the future mother-in-law is a witch. Well, as they pointed out in the article, she's not really controlling the birds. It's just metaphor. But it does make sense, because Hitchcock was very, how should we say, I don't want to say anti-woman, but he, I'll say not respectful of the female gender so much. And so that doesn't surprise me at all that this could be a very logical explanation for this film. Angela Curry for 5. Aaron, are you going to SummerCon this year? I am, Angela. If you were here on time, you would know that. But thank you for the $5. I am going to be there. She says, I'll be there on Friday. Hope you'll be there too. Also bring Gary and Shelly too. Cheers. My daughter's coming with me. I don't know if Shelly's going to make it or not. Depends on her back. But I will have my daughter with me. Although my guess is she'll be in the other place, the other hall, getting autographs while I'm, working hard at my booth. So, and yeah, so there you go. Whether Gary goes or not depends on, again, if they'd be willing to put him up. And I don't really have any pull. I'm not one of these guys that can go, hey, bring all my friends. They'll go, sure, Mr. Lopresti. They don't give a rip about me. Anywho. Yeah, that's true. Melanie Griffith's mom is Tippi Hedren. And of course, Jamie Lee Curtis's mom is Janet Leigh in Psycho. And it's interesting, both these films are very similar in the sense that they both have these like slow buildups, and then it turns into this horror film. And the same thing happens in The Birds and in Psycho. But Birds is I was always kind of like, it's okay. But after watching it again and really sort of paying attention, I really think this is a good movie. I mean, I'm a big Hitchcock fan anyway, but Glitch, my daughter's not going to get an autograph from her dad. She mocks her dad. That's the thing, it's like, I'm sure it happens with actors and their kids. They're just like unimpressed with their parents. And my daughter is completely unimpressed with me and my career. So, which is fine. There's not a lot to be impressed about. Andino says, not even John Beatty is in the chat. But you're here, Andino. As much as you mock this show, here you are. So anyway, I don't know. People, you guys, everybody, there's not a lot of commentary in here on The Birds. So I bet 90% of you guys haven't even seen it. If you haven't seen it, you are missing great movies if you're not a Hitchcock enthusiast. Really great films. Admiral Whackass says, I always liked The Birds. Not the best Hitchcock, but it always reminds me that one of our teacher's brothers scared the crap out of her by running outside and tapping on the window near the end. Yeah. Okay. So anyway, there you go. I highly recommend it. And I'm, like I said, there's like Lifeboat. Have you guys ever seen Lifeboat? Great Hitchcock film. You know, Rear Windows, one of my favorite all-time favorite films. Rope is really good, although incredibly disturbing. When you do a movie about two guys killing somebody just to see if they can get away with it, it's really disturbing. And of course, the Cary Grant movies, North by Northwest is great. To Catch a Thief, Notorious, a lot of good ones. A lot of good ones. Vertigo is a long haul, but a really good psychological thriller. But it's you better be prepared to watch a long movie because it is long. Anyway, okay, so there we go. That's my take on The Birds. Who knows when the next time I'll actually see a movie and then have some commentary on it. But I did feel like I like these movies where you got to think a little bit. And again, I don't think there's a clear-cut message in The Birds. I think Hitchcock has several different ideas that he's playing with, that he's hinting at, but nothing is concrete. But I think I do like this anti-feminist thing. I think that kind of rings true for most of the film. Anyway, let's take a look at some artwork. That's always fun. Well, it is for me, I guess. Hopefully, it is for you as well. But let's take a look and see what I might have in my platform. Okay, so I don't know if you noticed or not. It feels like to me that Wraith of God 3 is taking me longer to do than the previous Wraith of God books. I don't know if that's actually true or not. It just kind of feels that way. Look at this page. This is a flashback page. Look at all the trees. You've drawn guys on horses. You got, these are typical pages in this story. And that would explain, look at all that crazy cross-hatching I did on that horse. I could have just blacked that in. I don't know why I didn't, but I didn't. And I still have to do the writing on the side of this wagon. But it's because the pages look like this that it's taking me so freaking long to do the book. But as you can see, I'm putting the effort in. So be patient with me. When I say, it's still going to be done by and ready to the printers by August. So that's about what I was shooting for anyway. So we're not going to be like, it's not going to be like 6 months late or anything like that. It might be about 6 days late. But anyway, but yeah, this is a very labor intensive project. So anyway, I wanted to share that with you. That's page 36. I should be through page 40 at least by the end of this month. And then that puts me with, 24 pages to go. And then if I can get, I should be done like at the 1st of August. And then hopefully my turnaround time for printing for once in my life will be just a couple of weeks. We'll see. But anyway, keep you guys abreast of the details. Which reminds me, I do have a bit of a sponsor for the show, and that sponsor, of course, is me. So let's take a moment here and look at the campaign because it's just all part of what I got to do. So if you see that, we are, you see this number right here? Like one backer away from $79,000. What we're really shooting for here is hit 80 because that's our next stretch goal, folks. So if you haven't backed, I wish you would consider doing so. There's all sorts of good stuff on here. This is, of course, the 3rd installment of the Wraith of God series of graphic novels. The Wraith and Esther go up against the Headless Horseman. We go into the Wraith's past in this as well as the present, and we get a little bit more of his origin story, a little bit more about him and what formed him as a person and as a character. He's not a person, but he is a character. So I'm really kind of excited about this particular story arc. It's the scariest one I've written yet, and it's got some nice depth to it. I think you'll really like it. So if you haven't checked it out, follow the link in the description of this video, go to the campaign, and consider backing, because I don't think you'll be sorry. And you've got 4 cover options. Now, of course, I would recommend you buying all 4 covers, but you only have to get one. And here's your choices. There's a little EC throwback cover there, a little 1972 Marvel throwback cover with a dialogue balloon on the cover. How about that? And then, of course, the great Chris Stevens painted cover he did for me. And we have some interior art here colored by Jason Wright. Of course, I'm writing, penciling, and inking. Lots of good, fun stuff here. Stretch goals, 40,000. That's unlocked. That gives you this. We'll include the Loprestiverse retro editorial page with the Garbage Man value stamp, which of course that'll be colored, and that'll appear in on the retro editorial page. So that's one. And then we've got another trading card of Sculpture, one of the nightclub team members, and which is a super team of mine in the Loprestiverse. And that's penciled, hasn't been inked yet, but we'll get both those colored, and you can see those shortly. I'll post them, of course, on updates and on the campaign page. You can also get this wonderful Art Nouveau style Wraith of God print. Comes signed and numbered, limited to 500. Once it's gone, it's gone. Wraith of God Roughs Volume 3. This will be the 3rd installment of 48 pages of layouts for the graphic novel. So you can see the page layouts and then see what the finished page looks like. It's really quite fun if you're into that kind of thing. You can get a shot glass to add to your Empire Comics shot glass collection. This time we're doing the Nightclub, and if you are asking what is the Nightclub, check out Wraith of God 2 Blood Hunters, and you'll find a Nightclub backup story in that book, along with the first appearance of Kit Carter, and also a Garbage Man story that I'm quite fond of. So it's a great Wraith of God 2 Blood Hunters is 103, I believe, 103 page book. So quite the value. And you get the Wraith story plus 3 backup stories in it. So, and you can order those right here through the campaign page, or you can go right to my website and order them directly and get them right away if you haven't read them yet. You can also on this campaign get these this set of 3 poker chips. So all sorts of really cool stuff on this campaign. Again, link is in the description of this video. I want to show you really quickly the website. If you go to the front page here, it allows you to back Wraith of God from the website, or you can go to the store and hit shop now, and it'll take you right to welcome to the official Aaron Lopresti web store. If you go up here, you'll see store right there, and you can pull down all products, prints, books, merchandise. So it's all like separated. If you're just like, nah, you know what, Aaron, I want to see some artwork. So you can do these different categories. Here's all covers and pinups that are for sale. Okay. Or you can say, what do you got for just pages? Well, there's some Kit Carter pages here. There's some Swamp Thing pages here. There's, look at that, Batman and Wonder Woman right there. Justice League pages. I got a ton of other pages I just haven't uploaded yet, but we're getting there slowly but surely. Tons of sketches. If you're like, oh, you know, those are a little bit out of my price range. What do you have that's more affordable, Aaron? Well, these sketches all run from about $200 to $350, depending. And I just uploaded Wonder Girl and Deathstroke, a Santa Claus versus the Yeti, this Joker, this Green Goblin, the Hulk, the Spectre, Batgirl and Penguin, Smoking Nosferatu, Smoking Frankenstein, Gunslinger Spawn. Look at that Black Canary, $175 for 11 by 14 Black Canary. It can be yours. All you have to do is go to the website in order. And there's a bunch more stuff here. Sketches and stuff. A lot of this is on Graybeard. Some of it's just I did for recreation. But anyway, you can go down here and there's illustrations. You can view all. And so a lot of different cool stuff here. You can go to the portfolio page and just look at artwork. All kinds of groovy stuff. So again, check out my website, and you can get back issues. And like, for example, you go to the books page, Wraith of God 1, second printing, Blood Hunters. We're almost out of Bisley covers, Blood Hunters. So we got all 4 covers left from Blood Hunters. We have the second printing with a new cover on the first issue. You can still get Garbage Man trade paperbacks, Power Cubed. Kit Carter is still available. Kit Carter sketchbook. Price guides I did the cover for. We have a few of these Planet Doom Kit Carter ash cans left. So all sorts of good stuff on there. Again, check out the link. There's prints. There's just all kinds of groovy stuff. So you'll find both links in the description of this video. And I promised this guy, he got in touch with me and he said, hey man, would you mention my campaign? And I went and looked at it and I actually thought it was pretty good. So I'm going to mention him. And I also put the link in the description of this video. This is called Bobby and Clyde. It's animation style. It just looks like a lot of fun to me. So there you go. So you got a interior pages here. Looks like the book's done or almost done. All sorts of groovy stuff here. I don't know everything that's on here and what for sale, but it's obviously it's an animation style book. David Childers, his first campaign. He's only got 3 backers right now. I just don't think anybody knows about this, but you should go check it out if you're into this kind of thing. If you like groovy sort of animation style, you'll find a link in the description of this video that will take you right there. Okay. So anyway, there you go. That's me reaching out, and helping out somebody else. Which I do every once in a while. Okay. And it's not out of that I don't want to help other people. It's because I'm lazy. Okay. I'm just lazy. Anyway. All right. What else do we got here? Okay. I think it's time to take a look at GIL Kane. But more importantly, I need to download the video because I forgot to do that. I'm a busy guy. Things are happening all the time. While we're waiting for that video to upload, just so I can run an intro, that's pretty lame, but I'm doing it anyway. Remember that this is a channel that survives on your friendly support. So please remember to like and subscribe. Frankenstein would do it, and you should too.
Drink. Good.
Indeed. While you're having a drink, hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, help this channel grow. We've had like a little bit of a boost. So I was able to open up a gap between me and Andy Smith. Andy was like nipping at my heels. I thought he's going to overtake me, but no, thanks to you good people, we're still ahead of Andy Smith, and I want to stay there. So help me out. And while you contemplate those deep thoughts, how about this? I also got dark chocolate cherries from Trader Joe's. Man, GIL Kane would approve. Now, these aren't in any particular order, okay? Where should I begin? Do I have a favorite Gil Kane cover? I don't know if I can single it down to one. So let's just start going through these. And like I said, I could do the top 10 Gil Kane covers for just about any comic book series, like the top 10 Gil Kane X-Men covers. Now, as you see in my placard back there, my title card, whatever you want to call it, it has X-Men, Giant Size X-Men #1, penciled by Kane, inked by doggone it. I was going to say, I always want to call him Jim Mooney, but it's not Jim Mooney. It's the guy who co-created the X-Men. Come on, you guys, help me out. I can't believe I can't. Why do I do this to myself? Anyway, he inked Dave Cockrum inked this back here. But this one, this is my favorite X-Men cover. This is X-Men 94, which is the first appearance of the new X-Men in the series. What you've got is you've got a huge centralized villain head right in the background here. And you got pretty good shots of, you know, the team members. It's a really nice composition. You got a big shot of Colossus here and then all the other characters in there. So he's able to incorporate a lot of characters, but he gives it incredible depth. And then it has that big shot of the villain, Count Nefarious. Isn't that Count Nefarious? Yes. And that sort of grounds the whole composition. So and a really nice color job too, separating these elements. I love this cover. And it is my favorite X-Men cover. Apex says he's got X-Men. I don't have a copy of that, but I'm thinking of spending the money and getting like a 9.2 if I can get a deal on it. I never bought X-Men growing up because they just didn't interest me for whatever reason. Of course, they're the ones that are worth money. That was always my problem. I was always collecting the books that weren't worth anything. Dawn, who draws stuff, says, love to Shelley. Thank you so much. I'll pass that on to her. Cockrum was a great artist. He did the Legion before Mike Grell. Nice work on that title too. Yes, Dave Cockrum did really nice work. And it did a lot of good design work too. There's Dawn saying, hail, Arnold Presti. Thanks, Dawn. Appreciate that. Paul Taylor, a resident biologist all the way from Canada, says Cockrum thought a lot of the new X-Men were his creations and he felt ripped off. So he created the Futurians, which of course, whenever you do that, you create a response to the popular characters that you created and got stolen from you. The second wave of characters, they're supposed to be your X-Men that you own. Nobody cared. And it's unfortunate. But that's the way it goes in this industry and, you know, in a lot of other industries too. It's like you create these great things for these big companies and they take them from you and they hang you out to dry. It's just the way it's, you know, and we're all naive enough that we know it's going to happen. It's like knowing history, but it keeps repeating itself and we never stop it because we're also, when we're young, want to work for Marvel and DC so badly that we'll do anything. And then as you get older at my age and realize that you really weren't taken care of for the effort that you put in, but then it's too late. So, and the cycle just keeps repeating itself. It's unfortunate, but true. Anyway, great Gil Kane cover there. Now, I've shown this one on this show before, and I think Ethan showed up in the chat and mocked me and said, this cover sucks. And I say, no, it doesn't. I think this is awesome. I love this cover because it is, again, you have this huge figure, this giant hand coming forward, right? So that grabs your attention immediately. And then you got the, you know, all these little dudes down here that the Atom is, you know, attacking or fighting off or whatever. I mean, yeah, it's a DC book and DC was nothing but corny in the 60s, but I dig this cover and I actually own this cover in a 9.2. And it's not worth anything. I think I got it for less than $100, slab 9.2. But I just love the cover. I just think it's cool. So it made my list of top 15 or whatever. Marcus agrees with me. Great cover, Aaron. It is. It is, Marcus knows. Let's see what else we got here. Most of the stuff I have is Marvel because his DC stuff was, Gil Kane's was like early to mid 60s kind of stuff. And it was all really well drawn, but it lacked the punch that I think his 70s Marvel stuff had. Like, look at this one. Now, this is inked by Romita. So you have Gil Kane drawing inked by Romita, which is always a pretty good team. I don't buy comics generally. Well, this is a pre-1980 book, so it classifies as one that I could put in my collection. But usually Thor, for example, I collect Thor up to issue 200, and then that's it. But there are a few issues like this one that I just love the covers for. And I love this little caveman dude or whatever he is. I guess he's not little, this big caveman dude. I don't know. I love this cover. So I went out and got this book. And so it's part of my Thor collection where all my Thors are, you know, issue 200 and under. But then I have this one and a couple others, one with Ulick the Troll in it, and another Hercules cover that Buscema did that I really like. And then there's Firebrand. Now, what the heck is the Galactus Sentinel? Firelord. I have the first appearance of Firelord, you know, things like that. But I love this cover. It's dynamic. Again, it's very focused on big main characters and action. And that's the kind of thing that would make those youngsters buy those books off the stands. Boy, trying to find like a couple favorite Spider-Man covers that he did, really hard because he did so many good ones. This is one of my all-time favorites. Now, this is a pretty muscular Spider-Man, but it's just, God, it's such a great image. Inked by Romita again. It's got them Romita eyes. But I just find it interesting how thick and muscular Spider-Man is in this, but I love the pose, this water gushing down on him in the sewer. That's just a great, great cover. Of course, all your perspective lines pointing right at Spider-Man. So your focus is right here where it should be. Just, I remember this cover when it came out when I was a kid. I bought this off a newsstand. And it said something on here, you'll never guess who the surprise villain is, blah, blah, blah. Of course, spoiler, it's the Shocker. But, I mean, how can you not love this cover? It's just, it's not Spider-Man swinging, which is interesting. It's more an ominous and powerful Spider-Man, which, I don't know. Just really dig it. Paul Taylor for 10, Canadian. He says, seeing a large atom is weird. Did you ever see the one where he saves Batman after Batman's electrocuted? He runs around inside Batman and keeps his cells oxygenated long enough to revive him. That's crazy talk, Paul. I don't remember that issue. But again, I'm not a big DC guy, and I certainly wasn't when I was a kid. But that sounds... do you remember the Avengers issue, the Neil Adams drawn Avengers issue, where Ant-Man goes inside the Vision to do some repair work? Very similar sort of Fantastic Journey kind of thing. Thank you for the 10. If you could tell me what issue it is, Paul, I would check it out. Let's see here. Now, the other thing is, not the other thing, but one of the many things that Gil Kane did, he also did Westerns. And he had some really good Western covers, some Kid Colt covers and things like that. But I settled on this one because, I don't know, I guess it's technically a Western. But because it's a 1972 Marvel box cover, and yes, I have a copy of this in near mint. I know you were wondering. Hard to get in black. This is a black cover, and so it shows a lot of flaws, but I have a really nice, pristine copy of this. But I love this. Gil Kane appears to be inked by John Severin, and again, it's just dynamic and interesting. And you got a big figure of Red Wolf here breaking in. You got the big guns in the foreground, and this looks like maybe they had captured, yes, they captured an Indian, perhaps one of Red Wolf's clansmen or tribesmen or something, and he's here to save him from these no good bad. Look, he's missing a tooth. That's how you know he's a bad dude. Yeah, but these guns in the foreground and all that, it's just, I love this cover. Love it. I think the Red Wolf only lasted like 5 or 6 issues, but you know what? First appeared in Avengers 80, in case you were wondering. That would have been Buscema and Tom Palmer, I believe. This is my favorite. This is actually one of my favorite covers of the 70s, not just by Gil Kane. And we've talked about this one on the show before as well. I just think this is a great, great cover. You have a great central image of Captain America strung up on a chimney, dead, death of a hero right there. Falcon and Nomad in the background with hanging their heads. And this is, of course, when Steve Rogers went AWOL and gave up being Captain America for some political reasons or whatever. And he became the Nomad. And then this other guy became the new Captain America. Didn't last long, about 4 issues, and he got killed. And then Steve Rogers said, "It is my destiny to be Captain America." And so he went to be back to being Cap. That is Steve Rogers, Paul Taylor, as I just explained. So Cap quit being Cap. He became Nomad. A new guy became Captain America. He got killed by the Red Skull, I think. I'd have to go back and read it. I can't remember. Maybe somebody from AIM. I can't remember. And then Steve Rogers went back to being Captain America after this. But I remember buying this off the newsstand. I was like, whoa, my gosh. It's like these are, and I granted that, the whole comic book psyche is different now. And people go to comic shops. They don't go to the newsstand. And so it's, you don't have to, covers aren't as essential to getting people's attention as they were when they're on the newsstand. But this was a book that I saw this and I just, oh my gosh, I wanted to read it. I couldn't believe it. And then when the guy that played Cap in this actually did die, I was stunned, because usually I figured, he's probably not really going to kill him, right? And they did. So it was a very impactful issue, despite the fact that Frank Robbins drew it, and I was never a Frank Robbins fan on Captain America. But I digress. Great cover by Gil Kane. Now, Gil Kane did Conan too. Is Gil Kane, other than me, of course, the most flexible artist? And I don't mean by touching your toes, but I just mean he can handle any subject matter. Now he's doing Conan. Now this is inked by Ernie Chua, also known as Ernie Chan, I believe, inked this. This is a freaking great cover. That Conan pose is iconic. Iconic. And of course, provided by Gil Kane. Now, this is a great cover. Yes, Roscoe. That was it. But what was that wasn't his first, was it his last name? It wasn't Roscoe. It was Jack Roscoe, or I don't know. Was it Roscoe something? I don't know. Yes, Roscoe was either his first or last name, Marcus, but give me the rest of it. It was not Roscoe P. Coltrane. My gosh. Marcus Gil Kane did a run on Rex the Wonder Dog in the 50s. Glitch. No, he's going to stab that were-ghost hellspawn thing. Come on now. I love that cover anyway. Great pose. I don't care what you say. Now back to the box covers from Marvel 1972. It's the beginning of the Warlock solo series. Yes, I have an ear mint copy of this. Marvel Premiere #1, The Power of Warlock. So after showing up in Fantastic Four 67 as him, and then fully revealed in Thor 165 and 166, he then disappears until, I believe, 1972, right here, where he gets his own series and becomes Warlock. So there you go. And some nice Gil Kane covers. He did several issues of this before he got his own series. Roscoe Simon, says Marcus Killigrew, was the Captain America that got killed. Poor slob. Kane did the best. He did. He did indeed. Paul Taylor says, I never read Adam Warlock. Well, when you get into the Starlin stuff, it gets really weird. Same with Starlin's Captain Marvel stuff. But I think this stuff, and it's been so long since I read it, but this Gil Kane stuff was probably made a little bit more sense. It wasn't quite so esoteric and weird. But another great cover there. All right, here's a classic. Kane inked by Romita. Classic. Of course, we're looking at Amazing Spider-Man 129, first appearance of the Punisher, and the first appearance of the Jackal. So you have Gil Kane inked by John Romita. And another, I mean, Kane's ability to come up with great compositions consistently was probably his main talent. I mean, some people didn't like his figure work. It was sometimes got a little weird, but God, his design sense was just top notch, man. This ain't a cheap book either, by the way. I used to have a copy of it, but I've since sold it. So, all right, here's another Spider-Man cover, the final Spider-Man cover I'm going to show today. I love this one too. I love the Spider-Man head, the eyes. This is probably, yeah, that looks like it's inked by Romita again. Again, a very thick, muscular Spider-Man. Great shot of the Scorpion. All this and Gwen Stacy too. Remember the Gwen Stacy clone showed up in issue 144. You're all washed up, Web Slinger. Love this cover. Again, bought it off the newsstand. I'm not afraid to say it. Good stuff. Ross Andrew was doing the insides, and I thought I was fine with Ross Andrew as the regular Spider-Man artist, but the covers were way better than the interiors, and I'm sorry to say that. I don't, like I said, I don't have anything against Ross Andrew. I thought he was good, but now I put this one on here because number one, it has Zemnu the Living Titan on it, one of my favorite characters, and number two, this arm right here, I copied this arm so many times. Whenever I had a guy pointing off in the distance, I would like reference this arm. In fact, if you see anything like my current work and I have a guy pointing like that, it'll look very similar to this. This back here has a very Neil Adams-y vibe to it, don't you think? Especially this kid right here. But again, I do a lot of covers like this where you have, you know, your dead superhero team or your unconscious superhero team. That's a great face right there, that Doctor Strange face, by the way. And where, you know, you have a, like your fallen hero in the foreground and then something else going in mid-ground here and then something in the background. It just has fantastic depth in it and big hulking characters, of course, like Zemnu. Now, he doesn't have his little metal helmet on here, but that's okay. You know, we all make mistakes. And let me think. Yes, I do have this in near mint condition. This is actually the third appearance of the Defenders. The first appearance was Marvel feature number 1. And this, of course, is number 3. And I think they only got to issue 3 before they launched them in their own series. Because Marvel feature 4, I believe, is Ant-Man. So, yeah, I think after these first 3 issues, they're like, I think we have a hit here. And they gave it their own series. 1972. which I also have, first issue in near mint. Okay. Now, I never collected Iron Man, never, as a kid, but occasionally I would see a cover like this and go, you know what? I'm buying this comic. It just looks cool. And Kane was the master of your hero in the foreground, fallen, with the villain in the background menacing. He did a ton of covers like this, but they're so effective. Again, you got big central focus. Your hero's in jeopardy. It's like, oh my gosh, how's he going to get out of this? 12-year-old Aaron, or in this case, 11-year-old Aaron, was like, I got to find out how Iron Man gets out of this. And I don't know. I thought Dr. Spectrum looked cool. Looks kind of corny now, but I liked him back then. So this would have been 1973, I think. Inked by Mike Esposito. Now, this is certainly not a well-known Iron Man cover, but there's a string of Gil Kane Iron Man covers. This, of course, 1972. We're looking at the box art again, box frame. What a great cover. You have Iron Man, central big figure wrapped up by this python, and then you got Madam Python back there, but who cares? This is a great, great cover, and it really looks great in my collection as a near mint book, which I also have. But I went out and bought certain Iron Man covers that Gil Kane did that I really, really liked, and this is one of them. He's got several, right in this kind of 50 to 60 range of really good covers. Good old Princess Python from the Circus of Crime. And finally, we'll end on this one. Captain Marvel debuting his new costume. Cap 17 from 1971. The next issue, 18. I love the cover to the 18. It has this big old sort of goofy looking robot on it. And it also features the first appearance of Carol Danvers, who we love as Ms. Marvel and hate as Captain Marvel. She just sort of stayed in her lane. But I love Captain Marvel's white hair. I thought that was interesting. And I love this costume. Now, Gil Kane didn't design this costume. Who did? Was it Romita? I think Romita did. But look at this wonky rubbery leg here. I have picked this up from him. I don't know. I love it, though. I just love it, his goofy anatomy. And just, again, a very dynamic and cool cover. And did I say I have this in near mint condition? Because I do. Slabbed 9.2 of all things. Marcus says it actually debuted on the last page of the previous issue drawn by Don Heck. Yes, but he didn't design the costume. I'm pretty sure Romita designed it. Brave and the Bold 115, Aaron Adams saves Batman. All right, 115. Write that down. Brave and the Bold 115. I'll check that out. Thank you, Paul. Appreciate it. Ugh, slabbed. Hey, it's all about the investment, brother. All about the investment. All right. Well, that's all I've got for Gil. And again, I could have done another 30 covers that were, certainly worthy of to be mentioned in this lot. And like I said, maybe we'll do 2 weeks of Gil Kane. I'll do some more covers next week. I should. But now the more pressing question of the day, maybe even the week, really, if I think about it, is what did I buy now? David Williams sent me like one page of a Bruce Timm Conan story. And I was like, dude, what's that in? And he told me. So I went and bought this thing. And here it is. Conan the Blood-Stained Crown and Other Stories. There's some interesting stuff in here. Like there's some pinups. There's one by Tony Harris. Then you got a story by Eric Powell in here. The problem is it's a lot of like average Joe peasants telling stories. It's not really where's Conan at kind of stuff. You know, I want Conan. But anyway, there's a little bit of Conan there. And then Tim Truman, of all people, shows up in here. We might remember Tim Truman from his independent series Scout, also his Hawk World miniseries from the 90s or late 80s. Probably late 80s. So Tim Truman's in here. Can't really tell. I haven't read it yet, but I'm not sure if this is a Cole story or a Conan story. No, it's Conan. And so you got this Tim Truman story in there if you like Tim Truman stuff. I'm kind of hit or miss on Tim's stuff, but and then there's I don't even know who drew this. But you got some Carrie Nord. I like Carrie's stuff a lot. I'm a big fan of Carrie's. This pinup here. So anyway, I'm going through this whole book and looking at the artwork and going, okay, this is fine, whatever. I saw that there was a Severin story in here, which got me pretty excited. So I thought, ooh, I bet he did a Cole story. And he didn't. But he did do a story, so I guess that's something, right? That looks like a Mad Magazine double-page spread. Even the lettering. I mean, back when Mad was a comic book before it became a magazine. That's what it reminds me of here. But then finally, right? The Bruce Timm story. You're like, yeah, finally, Bruce Timm Conan. This is cool. And so you go here and you're like, oh, cool. Check it out. Yeah. And then it's over. 4 pages. So with shipping, this thing cost me $20 for 4 pages of Bruce Timm. Dang it. Well, what are you going to do? But the good thing is, it's not the only thing I bought. Check this out. This is from NECA, N-E-C-A Toy Company. This is for ages 14 and up. Are you ready? It's the reissue of the game of Jaws for Jaws' 50th anniversary. Now, if you've seen this game, the original version, it's worth about, yeah, you get it on eBay for $120, somewhere in that neighborhood. But look at that picture of the shark. Okay, and this is I haven't opened it yet, but my son got 2 of these because he's a collector. And so we got one that we could play, and then another one to, you know, sell later when it goes up in value, which of course it's going to. Look at the sculpt. That's exactly what the shark looks like in this game. It looks just like the movie Shark. It's great. Okay. The game is stupid and it's too easy, but the shark is incredible. And that's why I got it, was for the sculpt of the shark. Now, if you look at the original game, the shark is ridiculously bad. It's horrific. But it probably works better because the whole idea is you put all this junk in the shark's mouth, and then you take turns hooking pieces and pulling them out. And what you try to do is keep from triggering the jaws to close. Well, it doesn't close. You have to push down on the tongue really hard and then it'll close. But none of these pieces, these toys, are heavy enough that it ever puts enough weight on the tongue to actually get it to snap closed on you. And maybe the original version of this game, they designed it because it had a really long snout. It really looked stupid. but maybe because of that, it closed easier, and so it was a better game. But this one looks better, and that's all that matters. Look at that. It's awesome. So if you're a Jaws fan, here you go. These may be sold out already. I don't know. I ordered it first second I saw it, and there you go. I bought the Jaws game. Sequential Artist for 2814. My goodness. Thank you, sir. GIL Kane's Hal Jordan was my definitive Green Lantern. Appreciate you, Aaron. Thanks for being here for us. Thank you for being here for me, because if you weren't here, I wouldn't be here. So thank you very much. I appreciate that. Appreciate the contribution, the 2814. And Paul Taylor says they're probably worried about lawsuits with the Jaws clamping on kids' fingers. Well, you know, it says ages 14 and up, and you only have to be about 4 years old to play this game. So maybe that may be why the it does come with an air tank, but just a grappling hook. You know, there is a gun that's in the shark's mouth that you have to pull out, but there is no rifle to blow it up. Where did I order this from? If you type in Google, go NECA NECA Jaws game, it'll come up. Because I think it was on the NECA homepage, whatever the address is for that. But it may be sold out now. But check it out, because it's. I mean, if you want it for the sculpt, which is why I got it, I'm not going to sit there and play the game. We did play the game though. But I'm not, break out the Jaws game. But it looks so nice, and it's so heavy. I mean, the sculpt of the shark is so good, and it's heavy, and seriously, it's about this big. So it's big, and well worth it, I think. There you go, Spambot. The old jaw looked much larger. Yes, it was. Must have given the mechanism better leverage and sensitivity. Probably did. Because this one, it works, but I mean, like if you push down on it, it'll snap shut. But the thing is, the way it just is not sensitive enough, so it's too easy to get all the stuff out without triggering the jaws. So there you go. Paul Taylor, I'm surprised you didn't have it slapped. Well, there's a little, unfortunately, I'm kind of bummed. There's a little tear in the box, so it's not really. It's not mint in box, and it's in box, but. And the funny thing is, when you get toys and stuff, a lot of times the box art is so cool. It's easier to display in the box. That I just leave it in the box because I like looking at the box art as well. No naked girl here. Oh no, they took her off. So that's they should have like the naked girl stuck in his mouth. But anyway, that's what I spend my money on, you guys. And it's pathetic, but it's true. Not supposed to ship till, I don't know. I was surprised, but there it was. So, yeah, it's $70 plus shipping. But if you want that Jaws sculpt, it's so good. Okay. Anyway, I'm not here to tell you to buy anything, except Wraith of God 3. I expect you to buy it multiple times. But in terms of this other stuff, I'm just making you aware, man. That's all. Just making you aware. Okay. Oh, what do I got? Oh, okay. Let's take a look at some Michael Whelan artwork. Not to be confused with Waylon Jennings. Guys remember Waylon Jennings? Country music star. This is not him. Now I have to say I'm hit or miss with Michael Whelan. I'm going to save his favorite painting of mine that he did for last. But you got to give him props. Sometimes I think he was too slick, too polished looking, which is not really a crime. It's more of a subjective sort of, what you like kind of thing. But let's start with this baby. Look at that. That is creepy as heck, but really nice. Look at that Chinese orange too. My guess is that's probably really red in the actual painting. But, oops. Nobody wants to see me that big. Okay, here we go. Back to this. All right, so let's read a little bit about Michael Whelan. He was born, like most of us were, in Newton, Massachusetts, which probably none of us were, a suburb of Boston. His father, Bill, was the son of an Irish-born Boston police officer. And he was of a tough stage mother. So his father, Bill, was the son of an Irish-born police officer and of a tough stage mother who pushed her children to work in vaudeville. Bill managed to escape the stage, but he was a restless soul who at 16 ran away from home with a plan to join the Canadian Tank Corps at the start of World War II. He returned home to Newton to marry Michael's stunning mother, Nancy, the daughter of a prominent Dutch landscape architect. Nancy was an occasional model who at one time posed for comic artist Al Cap. How about that? Talk about small world. They lived in New Jersey while Bill attended Princeton on the GI Bill, but after graduation, they relocated to Los Angeles, where Michael was born. The Whelan family wasn't close. Oh, that's sad. But his father was an avid reader and an amateur cartoonist who decorated letters to his mother and family scrapbooks with his art. They went to the popular science fiction movies of the day, and even at the age of 5, Michael can remember drawing aliens and spaceships that he had seen on film. It was in the early 1960s, and along with science fiction movies and TV show, he was particularly fascinated by UFOs. Every time they would move, he would go right to the local library to see if they had any flying saucer books he hadn't read yet. All righty. So for 2 years, the Whelans lived in Colorado. And as a teen, Michael often took the bus into Denver to pursue art stores or to peruse art stores. That sounds like something I would have done. A peruser of art stores. Let's take a look at this is from Lord of the Rings. How about that? Very reminiscent sort of Hildebrand here, this piece, I think. The colors and everything. And again, I look at this and it's, these characters are really, really slick and polished looking. I like a little bit more rough, painterly feeling, but again, a great composition, great color work here. So as we look at that, let's go back to his education. His father often chided him for spending all of his paper route money on brushes and paints. My dad chided me for spending it on comic books, but he allowed Michael to take a summer figure drawing class that changed his life forever. He was well below the required age of 18 because there was nude models. Yeah, baby. But he was admitted by the school's founder, artist Philip J. Steele. And this was his real experience, his first real experience with a real atelier environment. Atelier, however you pronounce that. Back now in that was 65 and 68. Back in California, Michael graduated from Oak Grove High School in San Jose and enrolled in the closet university, the closest university, San Jose State, to study biology, physiology, and anatomy in preparation for a pre-med major. So this formal training in anatomy has served him well throughout his career. Clearly, as an artist, that's good training to have. He continued his art studies and took drawing and painting classes with the esteemed art professors Maynard Dixon Stewart and Dr. Ray Brose. By his junior year, he changed his major to art, and he graduated as a President's Scholar with honors in painting. What had started as a choice of college based on convenience turned out to be an excellent foundation. Of course, he's referring to going to medical school. I don't know if I would go to medical school out of convenience. That's pretty stinking hard work. He also did a series of covers for John Carter of Mars. Here's one of them right here. I believe this is from A Princess of Mars paperback from, God, this is probably the 80s, maybe the 90s. Now, in 1973, wanting to learn how to create a professional portfolio led Michael to enroll at the famed Art Center, then in Los Angeles, then Pasadena. It is one of the leading graphic and industrial design colleges in the world, specializing in commercial and instruction by professional working artists. That's where I should have gone. Why did I go to film school? Michael was accepted as a second semester sophomore, and he moved south to Burbank. Art Center's rigorous and accelerated program is meant to mimic real-world schedules and work. There are no summer vacations. He was able to hold down several full-time jobs while going to San Jose State, but he found that at Art Center, he couldn't have another job. He needed loans to cover the tuition and food stamps to survive, so when he received an offer from a book cover assignment in New York, he left after 9 months to pursue a full-time career. Well, isn't that the thing? You go to college to get a job. If you get a job before you're done with college, why are you staying in college and passing up career opportunities like I did because I'm a dummy? In college, Michael had done medical illustration, particularly the Journal of Bone and Joint Surgery. Wow, that sounds exciting. He illustrated a manual for barbers, and he painted signs. One day, well, let me bring this up. This is the cover of of one of his art books. What is going on here? This thing is screwing with my head. All right, hang on a second. Let me do this real quick. And we'll get back to the art. This crazy thing. All right. I quit. I'm done. Screw it all. One day on his way to class at Art Center, he saw a flyer to the 1974 San Diego Comic-Con advertising guests Charles Schultz, Bradbury, Chuck Jones. Oh, I want to go to that one. Gene Roddenberry and others. And until that time, Michael had no idea that such comic and fantasy fan gatherings existed. In small print in the corner of the flyer, it said, "Artists, enter work in the art show." He hastily assembled a selection of paintings and drawings, and on July 31st, he drove to San Diego to hang the work. He couldn't afford to attend the convention. You know, I can't afford to attend it now. It's a good thing I get to go in free. Except I still got to pay for my booth and my airfare and my hotel and my food. So he drove back to LA. When he returned at the end of the weekend, he found that all of his work had sold. This gave him enough confidence to send slides of his work to Daw Books in New York. And from that, he got an enthusiastic offer for cover work. So this led to one thing to another, and suddenly Michael Whelan is doing book covers like crazy. Like this one. This I was trying to show you earlier, and for some reason I was having technical difficulties. This is an art book of Whelan's work called Works of Wonder. It has a bunch of his groovy paintings. I would say that his work sometimes suffers a little bit from being too 70s-ish. And I know me saying that is kind of like the kettle calling the pot black. Is that the old saying? Here's another cool one right here. It's so interesting because you're not really necessarily, Frazetta was the exception to this, but book cover artists tend to, generally speaking, not go for like super dynamics, but they go for interesting compositions, and which this is, nice color schemes, well drawn, but not particularly. If this is a comic book cover, you might turn those guns around and fire them at the audience, right? But for a paperback cover, this is really nice. It's very simple in its design, stark background, but I think very effective. This looks like a Yes album cover. How many times have we seen that motif of like floating rocks, or I guess those are trees though, aren't they? It has a similar feel. I like this though, the dragons flying around there. Eric Boyd, you're right on the money. That was the cover to Asimov's I, Robot book. Yes, you're right. This is really nice though. That sure looks like that's airbrush back there. It's got, yeah, that foggy kind of smoggy thing back. That's airbrush over the top of this. I wonder if that's, what if he did his paintings in acrylic? Because you can't airbrush oil, obviously. I did airbrush latex once, which was ruined my airbrush, but it was for a job, so I did it. This is a really nice landscape. I'm wondering if this is a Lord of the Rings piece. I really like this kind of stark, cold landscape. I'm not a big fan of painting landscapes, but if they're dramatic like this, you know, if you want to go way back, talk about fine arts, and like Caspar David Friedrich was a German, I guess, impressionist, who did tremendous landscapes, and they're all really sort of really interesting and dramatic. They weren't just like, oh, look at the rolling hills. You know, I mean, it was, they had a story to tell, and they're very dramatic, and that similar to this. And these are the kind of landscapes I like. And here we go. Here's this wraparound cover for Warlord of Mars, part of that, again, Edgar Rice Burroughs, John Carter of Mars series that he, of book covers that he did. Again, I'm pretty sure this was in the 80s. Eric M. Boyd is all over this, man. He's got all of these. Dragon Riders of Pern, unless I am mistaken. Wow, how about that? It's very interesting, the composition here. And it's like something we do as comic book artists a lot is forget to leave enough room at the top for the trade dress. And it's like you do a painting like this and you're like, oh, we got to put something up here, you know, we got to make these guys bigger, make this guy bigger, you know, but it's like, well, you got trade dress here, then you got a bunch of writing on the back of the cover and stuff you have to be aware of. So sometimes as a singular composition, as a piece of artwork, it's not as effective as it is once the trade dress is put on, because that's what it's painted for. Creative Faye, teaching me a lesson. Caspar David Friedrich was during the Romantic period of art that deals with the Gothic and sublime. Very nice. He's one of my favorite all-time painters, is Caspar David Friedrich. There we go. This is, I believe, the Fighting Men of Mars. So we're going series of Mars books right here. I guess there was is there a white lizard in John Carter of Mars? I'm trying to think. I mean, there must be, obviously, because this is on the cover of, I believe this is, yeah, Fighting Men of Mars. And again, you see you know, all this dead space up here at the top, again, for the logo, the book logo and all that. You got a spine right here, and then you've got your little write up on the back. So these things really become complete compositions when all that stuff is included. This is interesting. You wonder, I don't know what this is from. Maybe Eric Boyd knows, but it's kind of funny that, I mean, this is obviously sort of a play on Noah's Ark, where Noah released the dove to see if there was any dry land for it to land on. And so you've got this kind of, looks like the hull of an old ship or spaceship or something. She's releasing the bird. The question is, why is she butt naked? That's the question, right? And the answer to that is for sales, probably. But again, a really nice composition here again. And then, of course, you've got your room for your trade dress up at the top. Now, my favorite Michael Whelan painting, book cover, whatever you want to call it. Are you ready? Yeah, the Elric series that Michael Whelan painted. I love this cover. This is Stormbringer, I believe. Yes, it is. Now, this Michael Moorcock was the writer of these, and they were this albino barbarian. So it was like Edgar Winter, except as a barbarian. And what really works for me is the body language of this figure, this movement, the hair, everything about this has got a kind of energy. Like some of Whelan's stuff feels overdone to me a little bit. This does not. This really is an excellent piece of artwork at every level. The drawing is just right on the money. Like I said, there's movement in the figure. You got a nice dragon back here. The color scheme is really cool. You've got Elric well lit in the face here, and then kind of in his thigh here. So you're catching the light right here for all the important stuff. And then his arm back here is in the shadow. This leg's in the shadow. This dragon is almost lost. The clouds back there. This whole sort of temple mount that's decaying with that skull head. I mean, this is just a fantastic piece. Oh, Green Laser says it's Melnibone, not Meldabone, but Meldabone. Okay. Well, that just goes to show you. But yeah, so if someone was going to say you could have any Michael Whelan cover or piece, this is the one I would take. I just think this is the perfect Michael Whelan piece for me. It's my favorite piece, and I'm going to die on that hill. So there you go. That's a little look at a little information about Michael Whelan and his career. Pretty interesting that San Diego Comic-Con played a part in his launch to stardom. And I believe he is the most decorated science fiction artist of all time. I think he has 13 Saturn Awards or whatever they're called, plus dozens of other ones. It's pretty remarkable. So there you go. Good old Michael Whelan. All right, folks, it's almost 5:30. We've been at this for 2 hours, but that's still not enough, is it? There's always a little bit of time left over for this. I've got some really crappy videos for you today. I hope you're buckled in. Paul Taylor's saying Hugo Awards. Yeah, I think, is that what I said? No, I said Saturn Awards. Yeah, Hugo Awards, Saturn Awards, whatever. Sci-Fi Art Awards. Okay. We're going to start with perhaps the lamest of the videos and go from there and just kind of see where it leads us. Is this a specter or is it something else? Let's watch. Saw that right there? Security cam outside somebody's house. And then that, which appears to be a shadow. Okay, so you got this little thing. Now, right there, see that thing? Okay, I hate to overstate the obvious here, but we did some detective work on, we had a videos like South America someplace, and had something similar to this. And as we looked at it and really broke it down, we realized that it was a bug crawling across the camera. Now, what exactly? That's a bug crawling across the camera. It just is, okay? It's not some floating apparition. Now, the question is, what is, okay, there's your bug crawling across the camera. How many times are they going to show us this? Now, here's the shadow, right? Suppose, okay, so what they're saying is this is the Mothman, and this is his shadow being cast by the street light. This looks like it's added. It doesn't actually look like it's part of the video. It's clearly a shadow of something, but I think it was added. Green Laser says it's the shadow of Batman going to Brohawk's house. It's a towel and a fishing line out the window. Paul Taylor says only the shadow knows. Green Lantern, the shadow knows. Dale A says, when Aaron gets to heaven, God will show him Bigfoot. I would love for that to be true. But now there is one little interesting tidbit to this also. Look very carefully here. Dude's finger. Okay, this is security cam, but this have to be somebody's phone, wouldn't it? I don't know, but so basically what you've got here is this bug crawling across the camera, and this dude swipes down with his finger to wipe the bug off the camera lens. Then he goes, oh, wait a minute. We can make a spooky video out of this. Sorry, but I'm embarrassed to start with that video, but there you go. Actually, I may be more embarrassed to show you this. So some lady allegedly has aliens in her backyard. Why are they there? I don't know. But this is one of these still frames that she allegedly took. Now, why do aliens, particularly gray aliens, which I suppose should be a gray alien, why do they all look like the Star Child from 2001: A Space Odyssey? Why is this sophisticated alien species that's capable of interstellar travel, why is their anatomy like underdeveloped? Look at those shoulders, the way they're connected. It doesn't even look functional. And why is his nose never finished growing? And why does he have such a tiny mouth so he can't even hardly talk? Why are his eyes so big? That doesn't look like someone that is evolved, and I use that in quotes, into a super race. It looks like a de-evolution So I never bought this sort of gray alien thing. And the bigger question really is, why are these aliens hanging out in this lady's yard? I mean, even E.T. had a mission, right? He's trying to get back home. But these aliens apparently are living in this woman's backyard. Corey Landis says, oh, good, I'm here with enough time to not find Bigfoot. And why is he running around this lady's backyard naked? These are supposed to be sophisticated, evolved beings greater than us, and yet they look like they're only half-developed humans, and they don't have any clothes on. You know what? Let me think about it. Nah, I'm not buying it. But it's out there. Okay, now, all right, here we go. I promised you these ones are particularly bad this week, but I can only show you what I have to show you. This is what's passing for cryptid videos these days. All right, so this guy goes into a haunted house, allegedly, or an old abandoned house, allegedly, and goes and inspects it and goes through it and doesn't see anything. But then as he's leaving, he decides to shine his light on his phone on the house and film it one more time. Even though he filmed it coming up, went inside, walked around, saw nothing. But, you know, hey, we're leaving. Let's just get one more shot. And then this happens. So apparently Bigfoot was in there and he couldn't find him because maybe he was so dark he hid in the shadows. And Bigfoot, actually, this looks like a Sid and Marty Krofft creature, you know, from Saturday Morning Cartoon walking around up there. Decides that, hey, you know what? The guy's shining a light on the building. That woman is selling you something. And then he decides he's going to show himself after the guy's already left the house and shines a light on the house. And he's like, you know what? I think I'll walk out now and reveal myself as a big black blob. James says that's just Kelsey looking for some smokes. Could be. Creative Face says that is a digital ad. It absolutely is. It absolutely is a bad digital ad. Once again, you come into my classroom with this crap, you're getting an F. I expect better. Now this, well, you know, aliens, well, you're going to have to tell me. Here we go. So is this a goblin? Is this an alien with no, regardless of what it is, he's got no junk. All right. So this creature cannot reproduce. And again, walking around naked, might be a little cold. I don't know. Maybe this is South America or something. And look at the spindly legs and the, like, does this even attach right? I mean, come on, man. I will say this, though. The design may be lacking, but the lighting's not bad. You know, I did a little lighting on there. He doesn't even have any feet. Are those like cloven hoofs or something? Wait. Does he have feet? Looks like he has feet there, kind of, doesn't it? But then when he stands up, the feet sort of disappear and become hooves. But he definitely has no junk. And he's not wearing any clothes. So, Paul Taylor calling him out. Basically, you wouldn't think those spindly legs would be able to support that fat body. Is that the guy in the gym that only works upper body and has spindly little legs? He's tiny in comparison to the steps, says Kelraiser, but that means that like he's a goblin or something, doesn't it? Maybe he's like a little troll. Yeah, I mean, he would be about waist high, maybe, or less. You can just hear him groaning as he pushes himself up. It's like, yeah, it sounds just like me. Thankfully, I don't look that bad. Green Laser says Hobgoblin. Is he wearing a sock? Says Pastmaster Dan. Sounds like a Southern Florida crackhead. Could be. He woke up on the ground after being drunk. So basically some aliens or goblins were out partying and this guy got hammered and left behind. It's kind of an ET story in a lot of ways. You know, I'd like to say I've got more, but I don't. It was an Alien Cryptids video show. Green Laser says that's Bigfoot after being shaved, but he has no feet. He has this little tiny little hoof things. I tell you. What's the world coming to when you can't even get halfway decent cryptid videos anymore? Has cryptids worn out its welcome? Should I turn this into National Geographic where we're looking at sharks and alligators and crocodiles every week? I don't know. I will. That's not a sock, Dan. Okay, there we go. He needs a designated driver to get home. Indeed, he does. Let me make sure that we've hit all the... SummerCon, make sure you bring the what up the page. Walter Koenig, your thoughts on Schaumburg. Hopefully news is good news. Hello. Okay. Got all the super chats. I want to thank everybody for joining me on this fine Sunday afternoon. I'm going to go make spaghetti and meatballs because somebody's got to do it. Greatly appreciate you guys' participation, the super chats, everything. Obviously, I could not do the show without you. And please hit the like and subscribe on your way out the door. And remember, we're going to have another guest on Graybeards, it looks like, for Wednesday, animation character designer. So it should be a lot of fun. Check out the professionals on Tuesday, Comicsgate Kings. Occasionally I show up depending on what they're drawing. Maybe I'll be there this week to kick a little butt. So anyway, thank you guys. Appreciate it very much. And we'll see you next time right here on Aaron Live. Good night.